Greetings, everyone. This is me, Dr. Hill, Felicia Ann Hill, also known as Dr. Chef. Some of you know me by this past year name of Dr. Felicia Ann Jordan. However, I am here today to make sure that I kept my word to come before you all on this day and this time because it was most definitely needed. I wanted to make sure that I I wanted to make sure that I paid tribute on this day, on the anniversary of my daughter's passing, and a recap of this year of as this old church hymn song um, used to be sung when I was a little girl growing up, and it was titled "How I Made It Over." And so I'm trying to get Facebook in on this. However, they're having a little bit of connection problem. I wanted to come before you all at 4 p.m., but unfortunately I wasn't able to due to connection and not having everything didn't upload in enough time. So thank you all for those of you all that's tuning in now. Thank you for the first like and share. Um, this has indeed been a trying day and night, but I made it, y'all. And so I pray that with me coming through on this anniversary, second anniversary of my daughter, NIJAE Angelique's passing, that it eventually turned out to be an encouragement for everyone that has loved ones that have passed on and that have found this time of the year very trying and the test. And I want to give a special thanks right off back for those who all that have been a comforter and have been a blessing to those, and very heartfelt and very understanding for those who have encountered losing loved ones during this time, because you are very special, you are needed, you are appreciated. If you have not been told that, for those who's tuning in now and later, you are hearing it from me. I appreciate you because the spirit is felt, the energy is felt when we lose our loved ones and when we go through our tests and trials. And you can tell by the look on someone's face, or you can tell by a text, an email, or a card. And then now today by a heart or a like. In some ways, you can most definitely tell that someone thinks about you, someone cares for you, or someone has it in mind to support you while you do good and while they see you face adversities and trying times that come sometimes it come to weigh us down. Nevertheless, I'm here on this time last year. You all know I wanted to give the recap. I said that I would. There were many questions throughout the year that was asked of me that I felt obligated. Yes, I did. Me personally, I felt obligated to give the time frame and pray about it and ask God really truly just give me the timing, the right timing, the best timing to address all that has transpired, or what I could online that I could address on this year, this date, December the 13th of last year up until now. So I want to start off my first, and I'm very thankful to God. So you all know, the few that's tuned in, those who tune in now and later, you all already know that my strength and my help and my ultimate trust and love and endurance comes from God. I do not give that credit to anyone else but Him, especially in times like this when you remember loved ones that you don't have. And it's especially far more challenging when it is a child that you love. And my firstborn, even though I have 4 biological children and have helped love and helped participated in raising 2 other, well, actually 4 altogether, my nephews and then my stepsons. And so I know what it is to be a mother, and I know what it is to have to strive to be that, and get better at it, and seek God's face for how to utilize the wisdom in how my mother raised me, but not exactly, because we know times are different. And so Nevertheless, the strength and the prayers and the foundation of love is what I mean, as far as you learning how to be that. And so I know that there would be mothers that's tuning in. I'm sorry, Facebook is glitching. So anyone that's on Facebook, if you want to tune in, I don't know why the connection is the way it is. I do have energy. I wanted to make sure that I do this for the encouragement of you all, and to really give my personal thanks and appreciation. These are times and moments and special tributes that you don't set it aside after a month or after a year, just like how we don't for anniversaries or when we want to celebrate a superstar, or just like how we do when we want to celebrate an annual event that we do. I know I grew up seeing it done through church, and then we do it every year. We celebrate someone graduating from school and college. And so I don't see it no different than if you have loved ones, a mother, father, grandparents, a child that is passed on that was near and dear and special to you, and that you learned beautiful things from, and you learned a lot about life and love and giving of yourself, why we shouldn't celebrate these memories and moments either. And so I'm taking it upon myself to do it. No one told me, no one coerced me to do so. It's just what I wanted to give back to my daughter, in honor of my daughter, NIJAE Angelise Moore, her being my firstborn, and the gift that she was, even though it was a many hard times. I am almost convinced 100%. I'll say, if I'm not, maybe 99%, that I would not be before you all today with being who I am today and who God is making me into be. I probably wouldn't have the passion and the love and the care and all of the support that I have in me to give help services and to mentor and to counsel and coach the way I do, if I had not learned how to be a mother for the first time to NIJAE Angelise Moore. And so I felt like this is something that she would like. I promise you, if she was here today, she would be right here on my side, just leaning, just like if those, some of you all that's on my Facebook page, I'm in as Felicia Ann Jordan, underneath those say Felicia Ann Hill, and they will provide the service on Facebook and on Instagram. And you all see that in most of the pictures, she was right there beside me. And so every moment I lived for 24 years with her, of every moment that I could not be with her, whether I had to work or go to school or take care of other siblings, whatever it was, it was a special attachment. It was just a special thing. And it had nothing to do with the fact that her condition so much as it was so much her spirit and her love. And I never thought, and I guess I would have never known until God blessed me to be a mother, to know the depths of this thing, this word, this major word that we call love. And I say that because we find it easy to love the children that's smart. Like, I have a daughter that's smart in college. She reached out today, Dejanice. So Mama, love you. If you get a chance to see this when you get off work, then just know that I love you. Also to my daughter Naomi and Ayana Moore, and also to my son Kenneth Nigel Moore, and then also to my sister Joanna. She called, she texted. Also Sister Tyra Thompson. I know different ones will tune in when they get a chance to see that I made it in. But I want to say it now, why it's on my mind, because I didn't write down a list, because that's just not how it works for me. In most cases, I like to speak from the heart. I like to speak from the spirit. And so that way, you know for yourself through your ears, how much that means to me. I'm thankful for Sister Loretta. She was there for me from the beginning of my health and wellness journey, of becoming a holistic person, one that wanted to be a practitioner in this, through healing ministry, through all that she had the patience to try and teach me and answer questions for me. So I give a lot of love and respect and honor to her. Who else? Let me see. My mother, which is in heaven, she transitioned the year before. My Auntie Sherry, She know what it was to have her firstborn son to have special abilities and needs. And we love him to this day. My cousin Cliffy is strong and vivacious. And so it's not like I didn't have a good example or the best example of triumphing through when you have a special needs, what we call a special needs child, but I call them special gifts from God because they teach us patience in a different kind of way. If you love them, they teach you how to endure. They teach you how to think outside of the box. Um, Most definitely, if you believe in God and you have a spiritual life, it will teach you how to pray, because you find out quickly that you don't have all of the answers. Um, she taught me how, I say she gave me a backbone. Beforehand, I believe that I was a bit spineless outside of being a big sister. And I mean that with much humility, but it's humorous to me because I just look back on the times that I never thought that I would be standing before doctors, people with PhDs and with coats and nurses and all these different people in these different fields that we here in America look up so highly to for answers when there are conditions or diseases or discomfort in our bodies. Um, and most people here do respect that process to their deaths, meaning that to do it the natural way, to learn how to do it, to eat to live is just too hard for them. Um, and because it's a tradition here, it is a tradition here to go through the healthcare industry. And so, prayerfully, what I've heard on yesterday about Robert F. Kennedy and who we have in office now, that would be changed around. And so mothers and fathers that had gone through what I'd gone through 24 years ago, now it would be approximately 26 years now. She would have been 26 on September the 17th. And so prayerfully, a lot of parents that have had to have special needs children from whatever the ailment was, my prayer is that you don't have to suffer or have to go through and knock down doors and have to stand 10 toes down and 10 times down, just like how I did and many other parents did, to make sure that we took responsibility and that we made sure that we went the extra mile for our children to stand a chance to live a little bit more of a more normal, what we call a quote unquote normal life, by not allowing them to be guinea pigs all of their life. I've stated before and I stated again, there was, many times by the age of 5 where they basically didn't give me no hope that she would even see past 10 years old because of her very, very rare condition. It stated that only 7 children in America that they knew of was diagnosed with her type of epilepsy. And so I had no hope. So to be standing, to be in this seat today, coming before you all, and now being a naturopath and having, been able to say this 26 years later, that I'm thankful for the time that I have with her is a miracle within itself. It's a blessing within itself. For some, I know, we look around, we say, well, we know some that were worse off and they're living longer. So what was the issue? I asked myself the question too. And I say that the issue, for as far as what I could see with my child, I can't speak for no one else, but with my daughter, was that she was a different kind of daughter. And everybody that, she's a different type of being. Everyone that came before her could see that in her. So it's not just me saying it as a mother. Her love and her spirit just was so intensely angelic, if I could say. Um, when she touched you, you knew. It felt like, if we knew what the touch of God felt like, or what it felt like to be touched by innocence, NIJAE and Jaleese had that. And of course, me as mother, I would like to take full credit for that. And yes, I will say that watching my mother and my grandmother and the impact that I've seen, and my great grandmother, that they had on people's lives, when I would watch them care for people, I would say that yes, it was no doubt in the DNA, but to the extent that she had it, I would say that it was God. I never seen a child so strong and just as happy and as loud as she would laugh. That's how hard she would cry. And so, even though she was one with very, very few words, her actions and expressions on her face taught me how to pay attention to people and what they don't say. And that's priceless. I know there's people being educated on that now. They're going to school and college for it, to analyze people's expressions of their faces. But I was blessed in a unique kind of way to learn that through her, because she would not talk. After she, after I not being knowledgeable enough at the time about the harm that certain vaccinations could cause, my daughter was given those vaccines. And yes, I'm gonna say it. And if they take me off for it, oh well, so what? So what? I'm gonna say it today. So like and share and save, because I think it may help. Something that I may say, yeah, may make you share the tear. Something I may say may make you sniggle and laugh on this segment. And it may be, but my biggest prayer is that what I say will be an encouragement, um, to inspire you all to not to give up, no matter how hard life can get. Man, it's a little harder than what I thought it would be. Gosh. So I want to finish off with my tribute to the special thanks. I know y'all praying for me. I want to say thank you to my cousin Diane, and you all. If you stay tuned, you'll know why I have the tears. Um, I want to say thank you to my cousin Diane Jones, because she too, her daughter, actually was murdered a few months after my daughter NIJAE passed. And we're only a year apart. And ironically, we share our fathers. My father and her father were best friends growing up, and they both passed at the same day, but just years apart. And so it's phenomenons like that, it's things like that that make you to know that it's something different. It's something, there is a different type of spiritual realm of life and death that not even I, no matter how many herbs, no matter how many fruits that you have, that sometimes we do not have control over. The part that I think that is the most hardest for most of us that are aware now, most of us that have the knowledge of that we live in a world today where there are people that are evil and weird sciences and chemists, and unfortunately those who are labeled doctors that have a God complex, where they think that it's okay to experiment on children and people until their death. I think that's the most hardest part, because most of us, I would say that the stats would 9 times out of 10 would be that most of us that have lost loved ones that are passed on mostly from some type of illness or accident that was caused by some type of mental illness, whether it's drunk driving, whether it be a plane crash, whether it be a car crash, whatever. Something was not aligned right in order for them to live on. And I know we have many that have their theology and their education and their thoughts of why this is. It's something that I think that we may not never fully understand. And so what we do, and what I was taught to do, growing up in the church, in the ministry, is to accept what we call God's will. Now, I'm going to be honest, because I told you all I don't know how to come before a platform for ratings and lie or put on the front like I fully agree with that, because of the many different things and ways I've seen people leave this world at different times, but mostly from sickness. And so this, I can't allow myself to get to give up, or allow myself to see it as a fear to the point to where I'm not able to help anyone else or learn the importance of us taking care of our temple. And I believe that this time would be even more challenging for me if he hadn't placed that love and that care in my heart before I became a mother, before I was chosen to birth our, what we call angel NIJAE. And so I'm thankful that no matter how hard it gets, and I mean not knowing, you see, this is something education don't teach you. I don't know how many years or how many moments I'll have to shed a tear thinking about wanting her beside me. I don't know. I just know that as long as I have breath in my body, like my godmother, Arjun Faye Petway, used to sing, as long as I got breath in my body, I'm going to praise him. And she was singing with so much passion till tears would flow down her face. She was a dramatist as well, and she did help me to critique me in drumming. All I know is that it's something that makes you want to get closer to God, because it's not anything that man can help you with. Yes, we can provide comfort from time to time to one another. And yes, it does make you fully appreciate those who have pure hearts and those who have the capacity to be compassionate. Hey there, Sister Candy. Um, yeah, y'all, I thought I was going to get in there and just like, shoot. But a chain of things happened prior to me coming before you all that kind of dampened my spirit a bit, but I wasn't going to give up. I wanted to keep my word, because I see that as an adversary, as a trick of the adversary to try to throw me off track. And he does that a lot, more than I say. And, you all may think that it's just the glitches in the computer, but when I tell you that Satan likes to battle me, like he does many others that he can't stand to see waking up, because they know my ultimate goal is going to always be to help somebody else. But in the midst of learning how to do that, the greatest challenge is learning how to take care of ourselves. And this is one of the reasons why throughout this year, since this same time last year, I've mentioned how important it is that we apply this to self, because it's a reminder for me too. We have the worst case of selflessness when you have a heart to want to care for others. We have the worst case of it. And what happens in spirituality, what I've noticed in religion, teaches us to put it in God's hand, to the point sometimes to where it makes us feel like it's just my observation. It makes some of us feel like that when you're in leadership position, or when you are one that's providing service for others, that put it in God's hand means that you can't have a feeling, means that you can't have a moment to shed your tears. Now, that's what I have observed. And what that has done down throughout the years of the 49 years that I've been blessed to be on this earth, is I've seen it make some people's heart wax cold. Yeah, just like the scriptures say. Well, I'm here tuning in on the anniversary of NIJAE's passing to say that I am going to fight against that. I like to fight against the quote unquote norm that just because there is an expectation for us to be professional at all times, just because there is an expectation for us to act inhuman, unhuman, no humanity at all in order to show that we are strong. I'm strong. He gave us all of those feelings and those emotions for a reason at the right time. And we have to do our due diligence, I believe, to learn how to assess that, embrace it, and grow. Thank God, and you move forward, even if you have to cry your way through. Because I do believe that he bottles up every tear. And yes, I do realize that, unlike myself, I can only pray. I can only pray that no one that's tuning in now and later, or that you may like and share this with for encouragement, I can only pray that they didn't have to deal with the tests that I had to deal with the day of and after the passing of my daughter. And I know it wasn't just because I'm a naturopath and a lot of people just solely believe in the Western medicine field. I know it was because too many knew that I'd gone through that route already. Too many knew that I worked in that field, and then I still have many family members and colleagues that are in that field, and we respect one another. And so I very much understood, and they understood my decision and choice is only made after I had done all that I could. But I also know that when you say you're practicing the way of God, the original way of God, to practice how to eat to live, and when they think that because you're in your BMI and because you look good and because maybe you're educated in some type of way, or maybe you have the experience, that means that you have the antidote to make sure that people can live to 100 or so. So meaning I understand that the standard is much more higher for someone like myself and others that work in the field. However, that's not realistic, because even though I believe that we are made in the like image of God and that we do have God in us, it is clear that I lack being perfect in the way of knowing everything that I would like to know to heal everybody that I ever come across that's sick, and that means including my own child. However, I will not downplay what I've learned and share what I know has been helpful to thousands now at this point since I've been doing this. And I know because they've shared it with me. I have to be thankful for that. I can't give up because there are others that's being helped. I can't give up because there are so many that have special needs children and spouses and family members that they're caring for, and they are progressing because God have a different plan for them in their life. That's how I see it. And so I like to still encourage those of you all that are missing your loved ones, the mothers that's tuning in that may have lost children, to not to give up. Clearly, if you tuned in today, I know that means that you have it. And that puts a smile on my face. That makes my heart happy. Yes, going through what I've gone through this year and the year before made me feel like, what did I do wrong? And all I could think of is one thing that I should have assessed more that was major. And all I could see is that it took time away, the more of the time as a mother that I would have wanted to have with my child. But at the same time, so many more were able to be helped that, Yes, it made me feel like in both ways, like, wait a minute, if I'm doing this, can I keep it 1 million with y'all? Because I told y'all if I can't, I'm not coming before you at all. Can I? Is it okay, Sister Candy, to keep it 1 million with y'all? You still want that for yourself too. You want that for your child too. And so sometimes this way can seem unfair. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. I'm probably the only one that will probably admit it at a time like this. And that's okay. That just lets me know that I'm chosen to do some hard things. Just like I know a lot of you all have been too in your life. You ain't got to tell me, I could feel it. And so I want to say this, Sister Candy, thank you for your encouragement as well. I didn't forget your testimony and what you shared with me. So you all are inspiration. Sister Thomas, just seeing you. Sister Star Thomas, just seeing you is strength. If nobody ever told you lately, I'm telling you now. You just, some people aura, that most people tell me mine is cheerful and normal, and they feel like they've known me all their life. And but I've come across people like Sister Candy, different ones that I met, that you exuberate that strength, order. And these are the things that help us during these times when God blesses us to still have those that, whether you've known them all your life or whether you just met them a day ago, that makes you still have to find it somewhere in your mind and in your heart to just thank God that you can still see a reason to go on when you feel like life is unfair, or when you feel like you've not been dealt the hand that you've been helping, even though you've been the helping hand. And so how I do it, back to my cousin Diane Jones that called me from work, and she's in the nursing field. And she said she was just going to come. She said, I'll carry. She said, I called you because I want you to take care of yourself. She said, I need for you to leave something in that cup for you because I've looked up to you all of these years. And I never heard her say it in that way, but I heard her. And she said, you've been strong for all of us. But I need for you to leave something in the cup for you. And of course, I had to listen, because I don't know what it feels like to have a child to be murdered and for that child to also be a daughter. And so I could not resist her strength. And so once again, you don't know what God would do in your life, even when it seems like it's a horrible thing, and it may be. Even when it seems like it's a hard time, with that, as you all can imagine, has given us a more of a stronger bond as family members. And we most definitely had a lot of distractions, and the enemy most definitely had been, when I say it, been busy with trying to keep us apart. But through the passing of our daughters, through the passing of our fathers, it has brought us closer. And I'm just thankful enough to say, I'm thankful. I don't know, maybe someone that's tuning in now may have experienced this, or maybe you haven't thought about it. But I say embrace it, because it's another level of strength. It's another level of trying to understand God. It's another level of appreciation that I don't think that you can experience until you've lost someone that you really, truly loved, until you lost someone that you would give your life for. And it also teaches you, or at least it has taught me, that it's most definitely something that I have to share so that you can think about it. I used to quote the scripture all the time, that when I had doubts about what all God wanted me to do, that he knew you before you entered into your mother's womb. And I would say that, and I would remind myself of that scripture to help me not to get out of, to think that just because something is happening in this moment, just because some changes are taking place in this moment, that this means that I have this all figured out. I also did it to check myself, because, you know, sometimes when we learn things, sometimes we can think that we got all of the answers when we know that we don't. I've had those moments. I admit it. And then those scriptures come to mind that make you have to think outside of your own little box, that make you have to go beyond your brain. And it helps us during times of mourning, during times of, I miss my mother, I miss my daughter, I miss my father, I miss this, I miss that, I miss my mate, I miss my spouse, I miss my best friend. And so for this cause, I could not focus on the many questions that I had asked, only to a few that I felt that were mature enough I could, or spiritual minded enough that I felt like I could share the chain of events that were taking place. Wow. I mean, literally within the day of my daughter passing. The most hardest one was, I had someone there that was beside me that was supposed to be my covering, or that vowed to be my covering. And this, I'm choosing to say it this way on purpose, because I want you all to get the example, the testimony, to prayerfully help someone else to overcome, because you never know who you may like and share something with. And I never know who may come and tune in later, and they may not be doing all that they could do to show their support as a family member, as a mate. And it may compel them to do better. This is my reason for saying it. I'm not saying that to say that I haven't had moments where I've been angered and highly disappointed. But I'm saying today, in honor of my daughter and a recap of this year, I want to say that you all rethink it. Because I don't think that, just like I couldn't tell right away how long I would have with my daughter, or how long I would have with my parents, or how long I would have with my cousins, or how long we would have with friends, and vice versa for you all too that have lost loved ones, or loved ones have passed on. We are left here to still do better. I believe we're still left here to learn some lessons, and to use that as a crutch to just fall apart. I had posted a post on my Facebook page that I came across. Shannon Sharp had did an interview with Ty Tribbett. Some of you all may know him. He's a gospel singer. And I hadn't heard the song in a minute. And he was singing, "We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right." And in the verse it said, "We've been made and to do it for a night, but joy comes in the morning time." So yes, I experienced the cry in the night, because I could feel my daughters missing their sister. I could feel my son missing their sister. I could feel her father missing his daughter. And in the morning, I experienced joy that I made it through. By noonday, my left side was sore. My heart was hurting. The back of my shoulder had pain in it. And I was trying to remember, that I lay on that side too long. And all thanks and praise be to God, my cousin that's a nurse, Diane Jones, while on the phone with her, because she called me around about 2 this afternoon. She said, "That's stress." And I said, "You're right." And so I began to breathe the way a mother breathes when you're in labor. I had to give my he-he-hoos. And she said, you got to let that out. You got to let that out. You know better. And you know, I'm talking to myself while I'm giving you this, while I'm encouraging you. You know, I'm saying this to myself too. That's how she talked to me. And I said, I know you're right. So I began to breathe. There's a lesson in this, you all. As I began to breathe and take my deep breaths, I lie not. The pain just started to slowly but surely go away in less than about a couple of minutes. So there go a helpful tool to those you all that has made it to the end of 2024 and you don't have them and you're missing your loved ones, or life has happened, or maybe you have gone through a divorce or separation. Maybe you have lost that job that you really thought that you would have for a long time because you wanted, that you needed to take care of your family. I'm saying now, breathe. Mothers, do your he-he-hoo. After all, it got us through labor. It got us through labor. It got most of us through labor. It's no secret that I had 13 hours, and she passed on December the 13th. I mean, I had in the 12th month, I was in labor with her between 12 and 13 hours. And I remember then, I remember hearing the voice of God speaking to me then, and I call it that because that's what I believed it to be to this day, at the age of 23. I remember him saying, wait before you name her. I just remember just going right into protective mode if I didn't want anyone to touch her. A chain of events happened during that time of my labor and delivery. Towards the end of that hour, a nurse, a tall nurse, which was not my normal nurse. My normal nurse was a Caucasian, curly head sister named Christy. But then they brought in Nurse Lou, which is tall, older. Nurse Lou had an energy on her that was evil. I wondered when the time would come that I would be brave enough to share this with someone. I never thought I would be sharing it on YouTube. But prayerfully, it will help somebody. Because I know it's somebody that's pregnated right now that may go into a hospital and don't realize that you can encounter this. And what happened is that my daughter was crowning. You all know what that means. That means the head was about to come. NIJAE's head was about to come. I could feel it, even though she was my first birth. And her and my auntie, which had my auntie Bernice, my great auntie Bernice that helped raise me and my mother, she had birthed 15 children, all by my Uncle Frank Bass that you all hear tune in from time to time. My auntie Michelle was there as well. She worked in the hospital as secretary. And my mother was there by my side. They were all praying. So NIJAE was prayed by three wise. She was birthed into this earth with three wise women, all to whom I had the privilege of taking care of at some point before I birthed her, seeing them do some health crises. And she said, let the nurse know, let Nurse Lou know that she's ready. And so you can only imagine my auntie having 15 children that I knew she knew. Then when she asked me the question, do you feel something down there, that she knew what she was talking about. And I said, yes, ma'am. That nurse came in and she pushed my baby right back inside of me, deep inside of me. So to the point to where I could feel the pain. I knew I could feel that she did it. I didn't know what I know now. It took me 12 years, 12, 13 years later to find out. There go that 13 again. To find out that that's a practice that some of them practice in order to give the doctors time enough to deliver, because if the doctor does not physically be in there when the baby is birthed, they do not get paid. Only the hospital and your usage of the insurance can charge the hospital for your room and for the equipment. But they do not physically get paid. Now, I don't know if they changed that since then. I have to ask about it. But they cannot physically get paid for actually delivering the baby, only for the other services provided after the fact. And so I later learned from another nurse, registered nurse, that came on live stream, just like I'm here before you all now, that this is a practice that's known for happening. She also wanted to induce my labor. So they wanted to induce all of my children's labor. It didn't matter that I was having her naturally. I did not do an epidural with my daughter. And so I'm saying this to say that I knew then that Satan had been after my seed, my children, from day one, just like he has so many of the rest of our children. And this is another reason why I believe he allows some of us to survive and live on like myself and others. And he give us that passion and compassion and love and deepness that you all hear and see now today, 26 years later, because she would have been 26 this year. Why we can't stop. Why we have to blow the trumpet. Why, I say, if you can have them naturally at home, have them. If you can get a good midwife, have it. Get one. If you have to go the hospital way due to complications, then have one by your side. If you can find one, you have 9 months on the norm, or anywhere from the beginning, from when you first find out women that you are pregnant, you have that time. That should be first on your list, is making sure that you have a midwife or making sure you have a doctor that is very sensitive to the fact that you want to have your baby in a more natural way. Because a lot of this could have been avoided. This is the part that that clearly will always be with me for the rest of my life. Is that if my voice could have heard enough then just maybe I would not have to go through what I went through as a mother to get to this point to where now I'm coming before you 26 years later with my firstborn daughter not beside me. However, I still have to do it because I do realize that God works in mysterious ways. He clearly knew that there was a strength that he placed within me, within my mother at that time, within my auntie at that time, that would help others. And so that's why this is what I mean by when it can sometimes feel unfair. But when I rethink about it from another perspective, I think about, if I'm not angry with God, if I can allow myself not to hate the doctor and the nurse at that time, then I could say that it was a trying of the love of God that he placed within me. What better way for me to be assessed, to see if I would keep my word that, God, whatever you have for me to do, whatever purpose that you place me here on this earth, I'm willing to do it. Took me back to the prayer that I've shared once before, or maybe a few times before already, that I'd already prayed at 15. That, Lord, if I never had a husband, if you never gave me children, if you never gave me the big house, if you never gave me all the money that I needed, then I always, in my heart, I just want to do and make sure that I'm doing your will. That you don't allow Satan to sift me as wheat. That you will always direct my path. This is a prayer that I prayed at 15. Ironically, I met her father at that age. Ironically, that is the same age that my mother was when she birthed me. Ironically, it is the same age that my mother was birthed by her mother, my grandmother. Ironically, I was told that it's the same age that my grandmother was birthed by my great-grandmother. So you kind of see the pattern. So I was the one that broke the chain, being the first granddaughter of those 3 women before me. I broke the chain. I had a child at 22, married, and at 23, rather, 22, going on 23. So you can imagine my mother was elated. She was happy. And so I'm saying this to say, you all, we never know what life holds. We hear people say it all the time. But you best to believe if you have a prayer life. This is the reason why I highly encourage it. I stopped praying as much over the airwave, and I know some probably noticed it, that are spiritual. Not because I didn't want to, but because it started to become more personal to me. This did not in no shape, form, or fashion mean that I wasn't praying for you all. However,